Now we begin with the front page of the Sunday Telegraph and the biggest story of the day, Sajeela, our next Prime Minister.
I know, isn't it? It's been an amazing week, isn't it? You daren't go...
Who was Prime Minister when I last saw you? Was it John Major? Tony Blair?
I don't know. Was it even Labour? I don't remember. Yeah. I mean, it's just like literally merry-go-round. Everyone's having a go. So basically they say keep your friends close. And in this case, it's work closer with your enemies. So the headline is Rishi Sunak and Boris Johnson urge to strike a deal to avoid a Tory civil war. And as you mentioned there, Boris has done a bit of his usual bluffing and said that he's got his 100. Rishi Sunak, as we know, has got 107, I believe, at last count. Of course, that keeps changing as well. And I believe that Boris had 70, then went up to 74. So what they're suggesting is that the two men... And I remember on Headliners... weeks ago, when Truss and Rishi were going, I said, I don't know why, I feel like Boris Johnson is going to come back. And everybody said, no, it's all over for him. And he made that little cynical, hasta la vista, and there he is. I think he's coming back. I mean, you can write this stuff, it turns out. Yeah. You can write this stuff, you can do it. So Team Boris at the moment, people sort of finding their teams. Priti Patel, that's no surprise, I think. And Jacob Rees-Mogg and Neil Cash. Nadine Dorries.
The loyalists.
Yeah.
The Spartans.
Nadine Dorries I think she's got a little bit of a crush on him, but there you go, that's my personal thing. And
Dorries loves Boris.
Dorries loves Boris. What a lovely couple they'd make. And then Team Sunak is Kemi Badenoch. God, I'm really sorry. Badenoch, Lord Frost and David Davis. So basically what have they got to do is they've got to put their differences aside. Now, bearing in mind that Rishi did stab him in the back, right? So there is like some bad blood between them. But do they need both? Because Rishi could go around saying, well, I've got my 100 plus. I don't need you. However, and this is a great quote, said some of the MPs are saying that crossing the threshold is not the same as support. And that's so true. So Boris needs to recognise that he is divisive as a figure and must try and bring Penny and Rishi together. It's all correct. So effectively, the three evils have to work together, as it were, because they're not going to do this on their own. And we've seen that with Truss. Truss was not enough on her own. And we all kind of knew it was going to collapse. So it's kind of sometimes think maybe this is some Machiavellian plan by Boris from the beginning. But basically, if the Rishi and Boris can get together, they might actually have a chance of turning things around. Personally, I think the Tory party's gone too far. It's end of the road.
Do you know what this sounds like? You described it really, really well, and I was literally waiting for...
Yes, I know.
Rishi Sunak and Boris Johnson is like Jay-Z and Damon Dash, right?
Oh.
It's not going to work. And like, for the fact that Boris Johnson has all of a sudden got these 100 MPs and he can't name them, right? He can't even name how many children he's got, so he ain't going to name...
Yeah, exactly.
So, do you know what? That party is literally Dingles, because it's all over the place. And it's literally, for me, it's a shambles. I mean, Steven Gerrard literally got the sack from Aston Villa last week, right? And it's like Aston Villa asking him to come back, right? So for me, anybody who can actually think to bring back Boris Johnson, seriously, just needs to look themselves in the mirror, because it's like, that's the current state.
Yeah, but you say that, Quincy, but the reality is he is a survivor. And, I'm not saying that I want him there. And obviously this party is as chaotic as, probably actually more chaotic than the parties he had in his number 10 Downing Street, which is still not over because he's still going to have to address that. But I think...
Mike Myers survived. Came back.
So it's Halloween.
As a top comedian, Quincy, you know about that rivalry in the green room, okay, backstage on the comedy circuit. You've got these big personalities, these big egos. If Boris does become Prime Minister, he's got to bring Sunak into the fold. He can't have Sunak rattling around the back benches making trouble. Keep your enemies close and stuff like that. But I just can't see it working, because Rishi Sunak, Rishi Sunak, he's already gone for the top job. He hasn't got it. Now, again, you're going to work for a guy who you already indirectly stabbed. So you don't think, actually, that Sunak, at this stage, could swallow his pride and take a job in someone else's government? No. You feel like for him it's PM or nothing?
I disagree.
OK, how about this as an idea then? What about Sunak as Prime Minister, Boris Johnson as Foreign Secretary?
That wouldn't
The brokers a Russian withdrawal from the Ukraine and saves the day.
I don't think having the top job, he'll go below. But I do think Rishi, and this is the problem with the Tories at the moment, it's all very, very ambitious and they're all about their own CVs.
The problem with the Tories, they're doing really well, aren't they?
Yeah, those talks, right? Those talks are probably paper, scissors and stone back there.
That's one way to resolve it, I've got to say. I think we've unlocked the issue there.